Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. For today's first video, I've got some really cool stories from Am I the A-hole, relationships advice, and Today I effed up. And the first one has an update. If you want to get to the stories, just use the timestamps below the video. And like usual, I want to take a few seconds to thank everyone that supports me either as a YouTube member or as a Twitch subscriber. Your support means a lot to me, so thanks again. And if this is the first time watching one of my videos and you like it, then consider subscribing to the channel and joining us on Discord. Now let's get started with today's stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's from user We Want Prenup 44. Am I the a-hole for insisting my sister gets a prenuptial agreement? My sister and I are property investors who own 6 investment properties together. I know how the internet feels about evil landlords, so spare me that please, that's not why I'm here. We started with one house to live in, then bought lots of cheap houses and flipped them for rental income. We're doing well financially because of said houses. My sister is getting married. Wedding is later this year, pandemonium dependent. I'm helping her plan and we were going through a to-do list, seeing what's left to be done. She mentioned caterers, venue, invites, etc. and asked if she'd forgotten anything. I said yes. Prenup. And we both sang, "We want prenup, yeah!" like the Kanye song, then laughed. She moved on to the next item without actually addressing it. I leave it for then and we go our separate ways. Hey, my friend used a really good lawyer to draw her prenup, so let me know if you want me to ask her for deets. She replies she thought I was joking. She's not asking her husband to sign a prenup. I reply, I wasn't joking and I must insist she signs one. She calls me and says it's not my place to insist. I say it is when our assets are tied together. She asks me if I'm trying to say something about her future husband. I say I'm trying to be realistic and smart. Then it all goes to hell. She starts yelling at me about being rude, jinxing her marriage before it began, yada yada yada. I say either she gets a prenup or we transfer all property to my name and I get one if I ever get married. Then I hang up. Being bombarded by family saying her future husband is a good guy who would never do that if they separated. He sent me a text admonishing me for hurting my sister and calling him a gold digger. He thought I liked him. I'm not backing down on this. Am I the a-hole for how I went about it or wanting one? Well, in my opinion, no OP, you're not the a-hole. You're doing exactly what you said you were doing. You're being smart about this. It is your sister's relationship, not yours. Your assets shouldn't be something that he can touch in case that marriage doesn't work out. I see that as being pragmatic, not as an a-hole. I understand how they can feel offended by this, but it's not a personal thing, it's business. I think there's a saying, I don't know if you guys have heard it before, it's not personal, it's business. I would suggest you stand your ground and you get a lawyer. I see it as you got like maybe 3 different options. 1 is she signs a prenup where he can't touch anything. 2, she signs everything over to you, so those 2 options you already covered. And the third one I believe is an LLC, which is a limited liability company. But don't quote me on the last one, and if you do know, please correct me in the comment section. In any case, not the a-hole OP. So what do you guys think? What is your judgment? What would you do if you were OP? And in the meantime, let's move on to the community comments to check out what they had to say. K. Matz says, no a-holes here, but have you seen a lawyer about your options though? Surely there's some agreement you and your sister could sign that would at least protect your half of things. You're not the first person whose business partner has gotten married. Glaxon Flux says, if you want to be smart with your business, be smart with your business. A prenup for someone else's marriage isn't necessary. Talk to a business lawyer about getting paperwork written up that states that if she gets divorced, your portion of the profits doesn't get touched, or however it needs to be worded to protect the business. Make sure you have the proper protections in place for your business instead of demanding your sister do something that's not your decision. You're the a-hole. And OP responds, I'll definitely look up the law around this and look into engaging a lawyer. Just don't want to further drive a wedge between us. Dr. Putty Fife and Drum says, How do you run a real estate business and not have an attorney or any kind of legal documentation spelling out, well, all the legal stuff you need to run a business? That's freaking nuts. And OP responds, it's not a formal business. It's two sisters who bought a house together, which gained equity very quickly, and we used that equity to buy a bunch of property under our names. That was evidently an oversight, but we never really planned on acquiring this many assets. To be addressed promptly. Well, the community is between no a-holes here, you're the a-hole, and some people say not the a-hole. I believe the first commenter's response carries a lot of weight, and OP didn't necessarily have to ask her sister to get a prenup just because she doesn't want her assets to be tied to this thing. They could deal with it outside of the marriage. So based on that, I am going to change my judgment to no a-holes here. I agree with that point. Now, are you guys curious about what happened next? Because if you are, then stick around because OP just gave us an update. So let's check that out. It's been about 6 weeks since everything went down. I need to clarify a few things. I can't afford to buy her out, so that's not an option. She also doesn't want to sell because they are long-term investments for us. It wasn't a case of we each own 50-50 in the properties between us. We know that's the case. However, legally, sometimes I own 75% to her 25% and vice versa because of our financial standing at the time we purchased the properties. I would stand to lose a lot if her marriage went south because some of the more expensive properties she holds more equity in. The properties that have been paid off, we've been able to change the deeds, but those still mortgaged are that way at the bank's insistence. We have transferred all the properties into a trust. It is a legal protection that outlines how everything is split, including clarifications on who owns how much. It says that spouses are not entitled to anything related to the houses. We've also decided to end our business ventures together. We'll keep managing the properties, but we won't buy any more together for the sake of the relationship. We're doing okay. Still not as it were, but that is to be expected, I guess. Her husband-to-be is still withdrawn around me, but honestly, I don't care. Their wedding is going ahead as planned later this year, hopefully. Thanks to all who offered advice. The laws in my country are a little different, but we found a solution. Update over, short and sweet. And there you have it. OP found a solution that works for their relationship, which is the most important part. You know, they still have their business, but now they're going their separate ways, which I think is good for them if it works out, right? The one thing that I still find kind of funny is that the husband-to-be is sour and withdrawn around OP, which I find ridiculous because it's a business decision. It has nothing to do with him. He took it too personal and I think he just needs to grow some thicker skin. But that's beside the point of the post. Anyways, how about we move on with the next post? This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and is from user Lemonclove. How long should I, 27 female, wait to announce my engagement after my sister, 31 female, broke things off with her fiancé? My sister had been engaged for almost 2 years with her partner of 10 years. Last month, I reached out to ask her when she was planning on having her wedding. As my partner and I have been talking about marriage and we're thinking of getting married in 2021, but don't want to overlap with her special date. She mentioned a possibility of this year but was unsure and said she'd speak with her fiancé and get back to me. Well, things went down fast. She came back to me 3 days later telling me that she and her partner have decided to split as he wasn't interested in locking down a date and they had been having problems for months. I'm worried I caused their breakup, but she assures me this was some time coming and she's been feeling really down about things for a while. In the space of 2 weeks, she moved out of their shared apartment and she's now staying with friends who live near her workplace until she can start a new lease in May. So in this time, my partner proposed and we got engaged. But now I feel this would be massively insensitive to tell anyone about. We haven't told anyone, no family or friends yet. Though my sister did have some knowledge that we were discussing marriage, as I told her about us thinking about wedding dates and wanting to know when hers was. That was before everything blew up. So, what's an appropriate time to wait before it's safe to announce? She seems to be going through the breakup motions right now. It is feeling down and sad about things, wondering if she can find a new person and be happy again, etc. I don't want to hurt her feelings and was thinking of waiting for her to bounce back, but that could take 6+ months. Would waiting 2 to 3 months be enough time, or should I just stick it out until she starts dating again? OP, I don't think there's a proper time frame for this thing, and it's so nice of you that you're really trying to spare your sister having bad feelings because of your engagement, which is understandable. But depending on your sister, if you want to wait this out, it could take for a really long time, or it could be over in a short time. I'm guessing a 10-year relationship is something hard to get over. I would say talk to her. Tell her that you are engaged and that you want to talk to her first before you tell anybody, because you understand that she's going through a tough moment and you being engaged might make her feel bad. Hopefully, she's going to tell you that you don't need to stop your happiness because of her situation. Considering how much you care about her feelings, I assume she also cares about yours. But also, I wouldn't ask for permission from your sister to be able to tell people. I would tell her what happened and that you want to share it with family and friends, but that you are just considering her feelings regarding the whole situation. In any case, that's what I would do if I was in OP's situation. What about you guys? What would you advise OP to do? While you think about that, let's continue with the community comments to see what they had to say. Beautiful Bacon Bits says, wait a month or two, then perhaps approach her about it first. You need to break the news eventually. Did everyone have an inkling you were gonna get engaged soon? And OP responds, we've been dating 1 year and we haven't seen much of family or friends due to the global issue. So no, I don't think anyone is expecting it this soon. My large extended family has never even met him, but we just knew after the first couple of dates this was it. My sister is the only one I mentioned to that we were talking about it. The Baddest Patsy says, your sister sounds really level-headed in her approach to this, and I think she'll appreciate your consideration if you simply bring it up with her. Quote, you remember when I asked you about your wedding date? The reason I asked you that was because my partner proposed to me. I was hoping to find out yours so I could make sure and not overlap with your date. Now I'm worried that if I announce our engagement, it'll be hurtful to you. I wanted to go ahead and tell you first. And I'm sorry if this brings up hard feelings. We didn't plan it this way. What do you think? Would you prefer us to wait? Kitty Says Woof91 says, hey, I broke up with my partner the same weekend as my younger sister announced her engagement. It was so fine. I could be sad for me while being thrilled for her. It was actually very affirming. I could see the stark contrast between my relationship and theirs, and it helped me know I was doing the right thing. I'd recommend just having a chat to her about it so she knows you're trying to be sensitive. Then celebrate your happiness. So it sounds like the community has given OP pretty sensible advice on how to deal with their sister. Very different from mine in the sense that I don't know how long to wait. Some of them say 1 to 2 months. I honestly don't know if there's a proper number to wait on somebody grieving a relationship. Like I said before, I believe it depends on the person and the circumstances. There isn't a right number. In any case, hopefully OP can make the right choice. And on that note, let's move on to the next post. Now, let's try to finish this video on a funny note and go with a post from the subreddit Today I Effed Up. This one's from user Fine Explanation 339. Today I effed up by asking the admin assistant to spank me in front of HR. This happened about a week ago. Before I go into detail with how I effed up, I will preface this with 3 important details. 1. I regularly misspeak when I'm not paying attention or in a rush. Buying something at the store and rushing to get home, go to say cheers last minute, change to thanks, end up saying chance. Rushing to a meeting and colleague asks if I have reviewed a document for him, sorry my bad, will do when I get back, turns into sorry I'm mad, will do when I get back. 2. At work, we have recently had to complete several different online training modules, bullying, modern slavery, etc., pushed out by our HR department. One of these modules included sexual harassment, basically a 10-minute presentation of how to not be a D and what to do if others are being a D. For whatever reason, this module and the modern slavery were slow to be completed. probably because they were the last 2 of the 5 to complete. And so HR were constantly sending company-wide emails that this one in particular was important and had to be completed as soon as possible. 3. When I leave the office, for whatever reason, I do 3 pocket check. Front left pocket, phone. Front right pocket, keys. Rear right pocket, wallet. On to the F-up. So I was going away for work over a long weekend. Was staying in a fairly touristy town, and because of the absence of international travel at the moment, everything is busy, really busy. Had a quick look at accommodation in the area and nothing decent is available. Sent an email to our admin assistants to see if they could help, given I wasn't overly keen about staying in backpackers accommodations. 2 hours later, hotel room booked in one of the nicer hotels in the area for the entire stay. Legend. Go down to thank them on my way to lunch. Chat with the female admin assistant who booked it all for me and mention how I thought I was going to have to stay in hostel and have a bit of a laugh. As I am leaving, she says, "If there's anything else you need, just let me know." At this point, I am already thinking about what I want to eat for lunch and thinking whether I have my wallet. Turning, I go to say, "No more last-minute special requests, hopefully." Realize that sounds stupid and decide a simple thanks is more appropriate. What comes out though is Spanx. For whatever effed up reason, my brain thinks it's appropriate as I am tapping my back pocket to check if my wallet is in there. Cue somewhat initial shock by said admin girl and head shaking by HR lady who had just walked in, probably thinking this is exactly the reason for the training we are pushing out. Thankfully, the admin girl just started laughing, and the verbal diarrhea coming out of my mouth trying to explain what just happened let HR know nothing inappropriate was meant by my actions. Had a red face for the rest of the day though, and still actively avoiding them both. Oh, OP, I don't think you're the only person that this thing happens to. It's happened to me a couple of times. Maybe not in this sort of situation, of course, but yeah, sometimes you kind of like mix 2 words and something weird comes out of your mouth. I think this is something similar to when you get off the taxi at the airport and they say, "Have a nice flight," and you go like, "You too," or something like that. Or for example, in my case, when my wife goes to sleep before I do and I come downstairs to stream a game and she says, "Have fun," and I say, "You too," and she's going to sleep. So yeah, that happens too. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.